I sent off a tweet into the ether and I had no idea that it had taken off. Like I wasn't expecting it to take off. So sometimes when my tweets go like crazy, I decide to read like quote retweets and whatnot. And this had the most hilarious quote retweets and a couple of replies that I've had in a hot fucking minute. And so I was like, if you want some entertainment, just fucking scroll here, dude. So Chris Murphy, some fucking cuck from Connecticut, said, this is a scandal. Trump isn't targeting dangerous people. He's targeting peaceful immigrants almost exclusively. And what these disgusting freaks have also done, have said only 5% of individuals booked into ICE detention had a violent criminal conviction this fiscal year. That's a very interesting thing to say, this fiscal year. Well, that's an interesting thing. So only 73% in this fiscal year, not even the year, but the fiscal year, don't have another charge other than entering the country illegally. And so when I replied, they're here illegally, that is a crime. They shouldn't have to commit another crime to get deported. All people here illegally should be immediately deported. Time and time again, our politicians show they do not care about American people. They care about criminals. And for a while, most of the responses were the retards who were just like, no person is illegal. No, it's not an actual crime. It's just a civil offense. It's retard. There's no time back. And so, like, you can laugh at those things, but then people started, like, looking at, the profile thing that Elon has rolled out, where it says, like, account based in US, but you get this little shield that says, like, oh, you're detected, it might be a VPN. First of all, who the fuck doesn't use VPN? Second of all, me, I'm who the fuck doesn't use a VPN. Because they're too much for my brain, and they would literally kill my stream. So I often don't use them, especially when I'm streaming. Because, like, I try to keep VPNs running, but they've genuinely taken down, like, they've cut my internet connection. And I'm like, I can't deal with you fucking freaks. So, like, sometimes I'll try to use a VPN, and I'll get frustrated when it knocks out my stream, and then I'll turn it off and forget about it, and then I'll turn it back on again later. But also, most of the time I'm posting on Twitter, I'm on my phone. So even if you have this little shield thing here, it tells you that I'm connected in the US via my phone. Oh wait, you mean your Boston accent isn't from... There was some fucking guy, I don't know where he is, but fucking holy shit. He said something about, like, yeah, that's where she got her Boston accent from, Bangladesh. You fucking retard. And I lost my shit at that comment. I wish I could remember the way he worded it, because it was so fucking perfect. Oh my god. But there are a handful of people, like, in the comments who said really dumb things, like, yeah, this one. So it was like, our politicians, you aren't even from the US. And it's like, brother, what the fuck are these people? Just, it's a crime for you to talk, passing the law that if you talk, you should be institutionalized. I wonder if any of these people even think before they tweet. Like, the fact that so many people are angry at me for just wanting the laws that we already have to be enforced is a little insane when you think about it. And then I don't think I can play this because these are, like, weird KKK people, so I'm assuming they're saying slurs. And again, I don't know why they immediately assume when I'm talking about people who emigrate illegally. I don't know why these people automatically assume, oh, she must be talking about brown people. That's kind of racist, is it not? I'm not talking about any races. I'm saying any person here illegally should be removed. I don't care what their race is. I don't care what their gender is. I don't care how large their family is. They can get deported together. This guy, existing is not a fucking crime. There's no such thing as illegal immigrants, just undocumented. And to be honest, it really doesn't matter. Stop focusing on nothing issues when you should be caring about people's rights, the unfairness in the world, and the literal genocides happening. Guys, you shouldn't care about anything else because there's a genocide happening somewhere at some point in time. Did you guys know that there's still slavery in African countries, so you shouldn't care about anything going on in your country? You know? Free access to America is not a human right. Yes, we are a country, not a fucking economic zone, despite how much these commies have tried to make it so. There is such thing as a legal immigrant. How come America is one of the only countries that whenever we try to enforce our borders, everyone loses their fucking minds? If you were caught illegally in any other sane country, so obviously excluding Europe, you would have dire repercussions. Like, they don't fuck around. This fucking bro, though. The quote retweets are filled with retards. They are. It's a fun time. It's a fun time. Here's a guy saying, we get it, you're Adolf Hitler, because I want laws enforced so that my country can be safe? Question mark? They don't even care about genocide. Hassan is shilling for China while they're purging Muslim Uigurs. Yeah, that's true. They only performatively care about genocide so they can use it against you because they know you don't like it when people die. Don't think being undocumented is a big deal, and I don't think people should get deported for just living here. Disagree with me on that. I don't care. I've seen so many people live normal lives here, and I see no reason to violently displace them. Because when they come here, they get on benefits. They take money from the government, which is taking money from American taxpayers. They get on welfare. They get housing stipends. They get grants for colleges. They take places in colleges that should go to American citizens or legal immigrants who are applying to get in and going through a legal process with which to do so. If you jump that queue, you're fucking over not just the American citizens who deservedly should be getting those places above everybody else because it's our fucking country, but you're also fucking over people who are trying to legally become immigrants here. It is a big deal. It has dire repercussions on the entirety of the economy. It has dire repercussions, especially for low-income people, which is what these people claim to care about. If you are middle class or like low income, having massive immigration depressing wages is going to literally kill you. Like, you aren't going to be able to compete with the wealthy wanting the slave labor. You just can't do that. It'd be better if instead of targeting people who work, pay taxes, and are living ordinary lives, they instead fund the police so they can get people who are stealing, murdering, and assaulting. That way you make America actually great. You know how you make America actually great? Not just getting rid of all the violent criminals, but getting rid of all of the people who criminally came here by crossing illegally. This is how you make life better for not just the wealthy Americans, but people in the middle class and people who are poor. A person named Medhi trying to say our president as if I'm not from America because he's fucking retarded. MAGA acting like they care if someone's here legally or not, as if they won't arrest them for looking even slightly Mexican. Once again, I never mentioned race, brother. I do not care the color of someone's skin. If they are here illegally, they have to go. Why not just, like, give them a pathway to citizenship since they're here already, instead of spending shit tons more money trying to hunt them all down? It's cheaper, safer, and we get to keep people here who are just contributing to society and not bothering anyone. I got some bad news for this guy who thinks it would be cheaper and safer to not deport all of the illegals here. I got some bad news about some kind of math that was done about giving certain groups of people money to leave the country even though they're American by birth and never come back, and how much money would be saved if that happened. I got some bad news for this guy. Billions of dollars a year in just mass, yeah? Yeah, no, it would not be cheaper and it would not be safer. It is not in any way, shape, or form safer to try and keep people who came here illegally. If they lied as the first step of coming here, why would you expect them to ever be honest about anything? And that's why a lot of them end up having crazy rap sheets. And even if you're just like, oh, it's just a bunch of traffic violations, I don't fucking care. How many illegal immigrants have gotten into traffic accidents because they can't read fucking signs, man? I don't fucking care if it's just a traffic infraction right now. I think Denmark did a study that found they have disproportionate impact on the market cost, like a 1% increase in immigrant population share was an 11% increase in housing cost. Yep. Denmark did release a study recently. This schizo replies to so many things of mine as if like he has anything real to say. And it's always funny when he responds because he gets ratioed incredibly hard every time by people just being like, damn, I wish you had the ability to think. taking a small moment out of my Thanksgiving to respond to Kirsche. He must think that name goes really hard for some reason. I bet an anti-racist would love that name, you know? One, no one is illegal on stolen land. The land wasn't stolen, it was conquered. And I love when people specifically use this talking point against me, considering I have publicly said on many occasions, yeah, if we're unable to defend ourselves, if we're unable to defend our principles, and we end up getting conquered, that's our fucking fault. The problem here lies in that these people would say that the Native Americans had every right to defend themselves to get, you know, the white colonizers off their land. But if any of us try to defend ourselves from Marxists or Islamists or other people trying to transform our country, well, somehow that's Islamophobic, that's racist, you can't defend yourself. So it's like, I don't know what the fuck this weird guy's talking about. Crossing the border is a civil offense, not a severe crime. Learn how the judicial system works. I think you are the one who needs to learn how the judicial system works, actually. And also, I'm glad that ICE is going to courthouses for people going for their, like, hearings and deporting them for overstaying. That's great. I love that. Not a severe crime, this guy. Imagine. You pretend as if asylum and refugees aren't a thing. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We aren't talking about asylum or refugees. And if these people had any idea who the fuck I was, they would know that I've criticized Obama for ending wet foot, dry foot. But they probably don't even know what that is, let's be real. There's another guy calling me Hitler, saying I should kill myself because I want the most basic of our immigration laws to be enforced. I don't know how people get this far outside of reality, but it's actually unhinged. There's another person calling me a moron. Someone saying hashtag deport VTubers. For some reason, racists trying to tell you 1% of 1% of the population is killing them in the end of the fucking world. Well, it's not 1% of the 1%, it's the mainstream Democrats that want us dead, but you know, whatever, man. You existing is a crime. I mean, that one's fair. I am from Boston after all. You know, nobody can really compete with how based we used to be. I'll give him that one. I do not want VTubers speaking on my country's policies or politics. Hashtag free Tyler Robinson parody account. Okay. All right. Okay. I hope Europe takes action soon too. Finally, a sane person. Does this dumbass not know that immigrants are helpful for the country? Does this dumbass not know the difference between legal and illegal? Mold Consumer has no idea that most of the people who are getting detained are either citizens or permanent residents. Permanent residence is not a permanent residence. You can have your green card revoked if you commit crimes. So like, I don't even know. And also, difference between detained and deported. If I got stopped because ICE was doing a raid in my area and they were like, hey bro, can we see your papers? And I'd be like, yeah, here's my license and shit. I would be detained for that time while they were investigating my papers. And then they'd be like, oh, you are clearly some retard from Boston. Here you go. We're gonna go back home, dude. Like, leftist discourse, pretend not to understand things, etc. It's also tiresome, man. No, like, I'm genuinely curious. Do people who think like this feel the same way about underage people using fake IDs? They are, by definition, committing a crime and in a place they shouldn't be in. So do they need to get deported too? Or is that suddenly not a crime?
What?
Ayo, JK the Slacker, I think you need to tell your FBI guys to check this guy's hard drive, because that's a really fucking weird talking point. What the fuck did he mean by this? What the fuck did he mean? No, American citizens using fake IDs when they're underage shouldn't be deported, but yes, it is still a crime and there should be repercussions for it. If you go to a bar and you give a fake ID, sometimes people who are serving you alcohol can be held accountable. That's putting them in danger. If you're giving a fake ID to, like, be around adults in a situation you shouldn't be in, that also is putting you in danger. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? His first example, and he goes straight to minors. That's crazy. That is crazy work that his first example was talking about underage people using fake IDs. Like, absolutely, yes, they should have repercussions for that. What the fuck do you mean? It's not a crime, it's a civil infraction similar to speeding or jaywalking. Should you be violently assaulted or detained for an indefinite period of time in a camp and then deported to a country you've never been to because you went 60 and a 55? Again, leftists not understanding anything, attempting to muddy discourse. They came to this country illegally. If I am a citizen and I do 60 and a 55, I'm going to get a citation. And you know what? In some places like Virginia, when you go a certain amount over the speed limit, it becomes a felony. So yes, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumb retard? This person is such a third world rapist. I can't tell if he's trying to say I'm not a US citizen or if he's saying he agrees with me and if we don't deport illegals, I will become a third world rape victim. Because I mean, that's just true, right? That's just been happening in Europe for ages now. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Boston is the third world. I mean, it might as well be now. Oh, we have this guy saying, God, shut the fuck up. And he actually, I saw this because somebody else quote retweeted it, but he had a follow-up that says she doesn't give a shit about legality. Otherwise, she'd be against this administration. She's just a Nazi VTuber who has no understanding of systems. And I really wish Stream Elements was a working platform because I wanted to quote retweet him calling me a Nazi because, again, he doesn't think I'm a Nazi. This is just something you can call me to make sure that everyone else knows I'm an acceptable target for deplatforming, for violence, for all sorts of things. And if Stream Elements was working, I would have done a scroll of every time someone has donated $88 because that's this guy. My mods had to remind me, that's this guy who says, isn't this bitch a Nazi? So I would like him to see how much money he's made me by saying retarded things. All leftist talking points are just to obfuscate from the actual point of being in a country through illegal means. The mental gymnastics of just wanting to destroy the country you live in. It's a little crazy. Literally no reason to be this stupid. Enforcing laws is stupid. As if you guys care about legality. Yes, we do. That's why we're angry at other GOP people for doing literally nothing when things should have been done way fucking sooner. Why go after violent criminals and actually make America safer when you can target people just trying to improve their lives? Those people just trying to improve their lives came over here on false pretenses. They lied to get in, they lied to stay here, and they take money from American taxpayers. They're not a net positive. Every single fucking study from every single fucking country that has illegal immigrants, every single time it shows that they are not a net positive. And then from some countries, even if they are here legally, they're not a net positive anyways. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. I get it, but no. Literally just like, I understand what you're saying, but my feelings won't allow me to do the right thing. Raise your hand if you don't give a fuck if someone comes here illegally, because I sure as fuck don't. It's the biggest non-issue of our time, and I'm tired of everyone entertaining the un-American and racist belief that there's a wrong way to immigrate here. There is. It's called illegally. Every country enforces this unless they have some sort of retarded suicide pact that they want to kill their entire culture and nation. This has nothing to do with race. They're trying to improve their lives by denying others the ability to try and improve their lives? Yeah. Un-American? Yeah, okay, we're just using words randomly now? Yeah, exactly. But Kirsche, think about all the tacos we get. Oh, don't worry, I have a tab for that. This other fucking guy with a yen symbol? Our politicians, you don't even go here? It'll always be interesting to me. I'm sure most of these people saying that I'm not an American are foreigners. But it'll always be interesting to me if someone from the US tries to pull this, because, like, being from Boston, I'm basically more American than almost anyone else. Let's be fucking real. I will throw the tea in the fucking harbor, okay? Long overdue for round 2 on the tea throwing thing. Yeah, I'm not like a Mayflower original, so there's definitely people who have bigger claims than I do, but, like, fuck, man. I saw this post where Joe Sweeney, I guess a state rep in New Hampshire, I do not recognize him. He said, immigration attorneys are warning immigrants without full legal status to avoid crossing state lines, especially into New Hampshire. It's the leftist favorite phrase! You can't cross straight lines! How exciting! But I didn't click on this until now, so I didn't know that he linked an article. So I had gone and looked up an article for myself about how based New Hampshire is. And apparently earlier this year, sometime in like March or May or something, New Hampshire made it illegal to become a sanctuary city. So you cannot be a sanctuary city for immigrants who are here illegally in New Hampshire. You cannot harbor them if they were here legally and then committed crimes. No sanctuary cities. So it says undocumented migrants warned to avoid entire New England state, which has become a hotbed of ICE seizures. This is great. This is great, you know? This is like what if I lived like right over the border in like Plastow, or like what else touches like close to Haverhill and Lawrence? Like what? I think Nashua was a bit too far. I can't think of the other like border towns, right? I only remember Plastow because I used to work there. What if I moved to like one of those border towns and then I just started ordering like delivery from Lawrence constantly, and every time they would send me someone who couldn't find like how to get to my house or couldn't speak English, I could just do what I did already. I could just be like, I had another ice tip, let's fucking go. Immigration attorneys are warning undocumented migrants to avoid New Hampshire entirely as the state has become a deportation hotbed. God, I love that fucking state. The New England hub has been one of the most focused upon areas for immigration and customs enforcement since Donald Trump retook the White House, prompting attorneys to sound the alarm. In July, where the most recent deportation data is from, arrest rates were over 400% higher than in the same period in 2024, per Seacoast Online. Fernanda Mara Romero, an attorney with Celadon Law, that's not real, that's a town in Pokemon, told the Boston Globe she has many clients who have temporary work status, but are now too afraid to enter New Hampshire because many of its police departments have been working with ICE in recent months. If they are here legally and they have the temporary work permits, they aren't going to get deported. So the ones that are too afraid are probably hiding either the fact that they've committed some kind of crime or they're here illegally. And they don't actually have the work status that you're claiming they do. Just like Pokemon, ICE also has to catch them all. Exactly. The immigration attorney has been warning many that if they do not have full legal status and may be seeking asylum, then they are at heightened risk in New Hampshire. Look at this fucking commie weasel wording, man. I fucking hate these people. That's basically the warning that we've been giving our clients or prospect clients to avoid driving in New Hampshire. Avoid going to New Hampshire, she said. Even if you're a passenger, the motor vehicle that you're in could get stopped. Attorney Kira Gagarin added that before Trump issued his hardline immigration crackdown this year, she never used to worry about her clients crossing state lines in New England if they had valid work authorizations. But now she says she often warns them to avoid New Hampshire, despite the state's long-standing construction industry being known for employing many migrants. I do not like the weasel wording once again, using migrants as a stand-in for illegal immigrants. Companies that hire people here illegally should face massive fines, and I'm even crawling towards the people who are saying they should get jail time. It's gone on too long, it's gone on too far, and it's depressed a lot of wages for Americans in the country. I am tired of the companies being able to get away scot-free. Like, yes, deport the illegals. The companies should have repercussions too. Gagarin said she was sad to see the impact the Trump administration's policies have on her clients. New Hampshire is where their jobs are. They have roofing companies, construction companies, landscaping companies where they're working lawfully with work permits and filing their taxes. Filing their taxes? How exactly? Who will mow the lawns? It's always very interesting that they list these specific industries as well. Like, who's going to mow our lawns and clean our houses? At least 12 law enforcement agencies and local police forces in New Hampshire have partnered with ICE in recent months, dramatically raising the risk of deportation for migrant workers in small communities. The state has taken a hardline stance on immigration under its Republican-controlled legislature. House Deputy Majority Leader Joe Sweeney took to social media earlier this year to warn all undocumented migrants to steer clear of his state. If you're in our country illegally, you're not welcome in the state of New Hampshire, he wrote. House Republicans have made that clear throughout this legislative session. Over the summer, New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte passed 2 laws that ban so-called sanctuary cities in the state. This aggressive approach from New Hampshire authorities captured headlines earlier this year as wild surveillance footage showed federal agents tackling a Venezuelan migrant into an elderly bystander. I mean, that's not really ICE's fault if the guy is running, as you could see from the video. Like, yeah, I feel bad for the old guy, but you know, he wouldn't have fallen over if the illegal hadn't tried to run from ICE. Like, do we blame police officers when someone does a high-speed chase? I don't understand. Romero told the Globe that she has been especially wary of her clients traveling into New Hampshire from across state lines after one of them was locked up in an ICE detention center despite having a work authorization permit. She said the migrant, a 23-year-old from Brazil, entered the country without authorization but was given a legal work permit and found himself in hot water when traveling home to Lowell, Massachusetts. She said he was riding in a car through Troy, New Hampshire on October 6th when the vehicle was pulled over for speeding. There it is. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. I need to know, like, the driver was speeding. He was riding in the car. Was he also implicated in some sort of criminal history? Do we have an article on this? Despite identifying himself to the officer and producing his work authorization card that was valid for 2 more years, the officer took him into custody. The arrest landed him in an ICE facility for over a month. He should have been deported way faster. I don't think any of these people should be being held for a month. It should be like a week maximum, and then they're shipped the fuck out. They should not be held for over a month. That is where I agree. Boston attorney Matthew J. Maiona added that he often tells migrant clients to warn their loved ones if they plan on traveling into the state. We really have to be practical and try to protect ourselves as best as possible, he said. Just understanding the landscape and what type of a situation it is and try to do things that in the long run will protect you. Of those arrested in this year to July, around 68% of those arrested had no criminal record. Except they were not here legally. A significant rise from around 20% from January to July 2024, according to Seacoast Online. You know what I think would be really fucking funny? But the amount of, like, seethe on the left would probably fuel Himalayan salt mines for decades to come. If you don't live in New England, I don't know if you could really grasp this concept, but especially on, like, the Mass New Hampshire line, there are a lot of streets where, like, part of the street is in Mass, another part is in New Hampshire, and then later down the street, you're back in Mass. That's just how things are here. And it would be really funny if ICE, like, set up little capture cells on the parts of the streets that wind into New Hampshire from Massachusetts. Just put the hiring managers and execs in jail. I mean, I'm leaning towards fuck it. Why not at this point? Something has to be done. Too long have we gone with nothing being done. And then this was the article that the John Sweeney guy linked. I just want to see if there's any other information that wasn't in the other one. There's the Fernanda lady. Oh, last week, activists in New Hampshire gathered at a church in Concord to announce their intention to respond to the Trump administration's mass deportations. The effort is called Sanctuary Communities and calls for the formation of informal groups of residents who declare that they will assist immigrants targeted by ICE. Can we do the opposite? Can there be, like, anti-sanctuary committees where they have a formation of an informal group that informs ICE wherever the sanctuary committee goes because they're protecting the illegals? Because if you have the counter sanctuary committee group, you're going to be able to tell ICE more accurately where to target because you know these people want to protect the illegals. So it seems like you could have a little Fallout faction warfare here. Fucking retards think they're forming the second underground railroad. They do. They just love their criminals, man. We will do whatever is necessary, legal and moral, to protect ourselves and fellow residents of New Hampshire, said Manchester resident and activist Philip Kiefer, NHPR reported. We will surveil ICE raids, we will record them, we will report them to state and national media, as well as to local law enforcement and to the institutions in our communities. Yeah, just get a counter counsel and follow this guy around when he's protecting illegals. Be like, yes, I found the Illegal Immigrant Protection Activist Committee. ICE, please come post haste. It's kind of crazy. Then put them on pay-per-view. True, think of the content. Massachusetts lawmakers met this week for a hearing on the Safe Communities Act, a proposed law in response to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. State Senator Jamie Eldridge, D. Middlesex Worcester, one of the lead sponsors, outlined 4 key provisions of the bill during his testimony. He said the bill would make sure that state taxpayer resources and state and local law enforcement are not involved with collaborations that lead to the detention and the breaking apart of immigrant families. So it's okay for illegals to have access to the Massachusetts taxpayer dollars for all kinds of things, but it's not okay to use those taxpayer dollars to get the illegals out of the state to make lives better for the Massachusetts residents. I gotcha. I see what you're doing here. No wonder you're fucking representing Worcester, you piece of shit. Communities across the state have enacted similar policies, but the bill would create a statewide standard, according to Eldridge. The bill would prohibit the questioning of people on their immigration status. That's just really unsafe. What the fuck do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? It would protect access to justice in our courts. No, it does the exact fucking opposite. It would require notice to that immigrant who happens to be arrested for a criminal offense that he or she can hire a lawyer to represent them on the immigration matter. Ah, yes, just give a heads up to the person who should be deported so that they can flee and not get deported. And lastly, to prohibit 287 agreements, which in other states, local police, sheriffs, actually being deputized to act as immigration agents. Isn't that unironically limiting the rights of those people who are actual American citizens who want to do something to protect themselves and their community from people here illegally? So this was a weird post I saw. I knew that Doritos was coming out with like their naked chips. They were like, we're gonna remove all of the harmful dyes from our chips, but they're gonna taste the same. And so my first question was, if putting the harmful dyes and shit in there was optional the whole time, why did you keep doing it until literally forced not to? That seems kind of weird. But then Doritos posted, introducing Doritos and Cheetos Simply Naked, now made with no dyes or artificial flavors. Available for pre-order now at Walmart. And I'm kind of wondering, what kind of fucking world do we live in where you pre-order your snacky chips? That's a little strange. Why would you need to pre-order snacky chips? I don't understand. Are there people who genuinely would pre-order like the slopper? Like what?
Yes.
Pre-order your chips, what the fuck? Well, it's a drop. Is it supposed to be like a special limited time and then they're gonna put the poison back in? Like, I don't get it, man. I don't understand. Make it make sense. Adolf Hitler has returned to power. He's been re-elected for a 5th term. In Namibia, a former German colony, 59-year-old politician Adolf Hitler, Iryna, has once again won regional elections in the Omopunja constituency. He has governed the district since 2004. Iryna has acknowledged that he was indeed named after the Nazi dictator, but says he has no connection to Nazism. He also says he has no plans to change his name. I mean, he's been elected 5 times. Why would he change his name, to be fair? And Adolf Hitler is slightly darker than I remember, to be fair. Guess who's back? You love how he looks so nonplussed about it? Yeah, his facial expression kind of makes the tweet. They ran Adolf through the Google Gemini image generation a few times. Is this the Netflix adaptation? It surely is. This is the Netflix adaptation of World War II. 1970s Namibia didn't have a great internet connection. They may be confused about who won. Well, it did say they were a former German colony, so, you know. This leading report thing said, Elon Musk calls for Iryna Zarutska's killer, Carlson Brown Jr., to be hung immediately. First of all, yes. Second of all, why hasn't it happened already? Third of all, it took me 2 tweets. I even Googled this and I couldn't find like what Elon Musk had said. Eric Doherty here said, Elon Musk calls for Iryna Zarutska's killer, Carlson Brown Jr., to be hung immediately. For premeditated murder where there's no doubt about the guilt, as is the case here, the murderer should be hanged without delay. And Eric said he agrees. We take way too long to lay the hammer of justice, deter criminals. And I think that would be a good way. Because I like the death penalty. I would like for us to have and enact the death penalty. The thing that makes me hesitate about the death penalty is that I do not like or trust the government. And I feel like the government could very much abuse their position and railroad innocent people into being given an expedited death penalty. However, if we say that we're only going to give the death penalty and an expedited death penalty when it is demonstrably on camera and there cannot be any dispute about who did it because it is on camera, I'm okay with that. If we have it on camera and it is indisputable who did it, I don't care. And I don't think pleading insanity should opt you out of the death penalty. I don't think it should. Like, there are plenty of, like, mass shooters that are sitting in prison that I don't think should be sitting in prison. Issue with on camera is AI is getting scary good as of late. You can still expedite it and have people make sure that the video isn't AI. The only thing that makes you dislike the death penalty is the fact that the killer's pain stops forever. I also kind of like how Japan does it as well. when Japan enacts the death penalty in order to prevent like the people who do it from feeling guilt, they have like a bunch of executioners pull a switch at the same time, so none of them know who was the one who actually administered the death penalty to the prisoner. And I think that's a pretty neat way to do it. The Japanese still have the death penalty to this day. You wouldn't trust anything from the US too. Too much idiocracy, and people express more with their feelings than logic. That's why I said I would only be like resoundingly okay with an expedited death penalty with the video footage. Matt Van Swole said Charlotte, North Carolina is bracing for a massive increase in prison population as Iryna's law finally goes into effect this Monday. Iryna's law eliminates cashless bail for all violent offenders. And it's a little crazy that it took something like getting murdered in cold blood while the guy says, I got that white bitch. Or white girl, whatever he said. I got that white girl. I can't remember exactly whether he said bitch or girl. Either way. It's crazy that it took something like that to institute eliminating cashless bail. I'm gonna be honest. And someone else said, fill the prisons and then build more prisons and fill those too. And Matt replied, we do not have enough prisons in this country. We need to build at least 10 times the number of prisons. Either that or we need to speed up executions to make room for more violent criminals in the prisons. I'm open to either solution. And Elon Musk replied, for premeditated murder where there is no doubt about the guilt, as is the case here, the murderer should be hanged without delay. And I 100% agree with this. For as much hesitation as I would have for the death penalty normally, because again, I don't trust the government. People can lie. People can make shit up. People can try to obfuscate information. They can hide things that should be brought out into court. When it's undeniable, I think it should be an expedited death penalty. So, Piers Morgan talked to Tucker Carlson, and I guess Tucker Carlson's been getting very spicy recently. And I found this interesting.
This was not a communist country, but I'm just saying Britain voluntarily joined the war. It was a war that you were not involved in, and you got in. But my question is, why did it destroy Britain? I don't understand. As the victor nation,
it didn't destroy Britain.
Well, look outside.
Look outside.
We're in the city of London.
Hang on. There's Tower Bridge. It's the Tower of London. Magnificent.
Well,
how many terror attacks have been on that
Why
bridge?
do you look at this and see a wrecked country? I don't.
Well, I don't see an English country. So we're in the city of London now.
What do you mean there? What do you mean by that?
It's not. Well, people whose ancestors built Stonehenge are not here anymore. So the city of London is 36% white, and that's happened in the last, 40 years.
But England is about 70% white.
England.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it was 99% in 1945.
Okay, so we've evolved.
That's a very weird thing to say. Because, again, I think legal immigration is fine. I think people who want to go to England to become part of the country and to enrich England is fine. But I think it's very weird to say we've evolved when talking about how the native English are essentially declining incredibly rapidly. I think that the native English declining incredibly rapidly is not something to celebrate. And when you talk about evolution, it's usually in a good way. You evolve, things got better, things got easier. And so it's a very weird thing to say when being told the native English are no longer the majority in their own country. That's just a very weird response, in my opinion. It's evolved because being white is bad. Yeah, and it's very tiring to constantly be told by people who want to live in your country that you are bad and you are evil and you are everything that's wrong with the world. Could they be allowed to evolve into being 99% English again? I mean, we had people holding signs at like protests in the US saying that like remigration is genocide or some shit like that. It was like a really weird sign talking about how like if you're deporting people, you're ethnically cleansing them. And that's really weird as well. And it doesn't make sense to me. And people will say it's like a white supremacist talking point. And I mean, maybe Tucker said some crazy things. I don't typically watch everything he says. But like, I don't think it is a supremacist argument to say that the native English should be the majority in their country. I don't think that's saying that they're better than other people or that they're superior to other people. That's just saying that they have a right to exist in the lands that they have always existed in. And so it doesn't make sense to me when people try to change that into like a racist or a white supremacist talking point, because again, it goes back to when people were claiming it's okay to be white is a white supremacist dog whistle. It's not. And it should be completely fine to any normal person to say it's okay to be white.
But you're on the way to becoming the minority in the country. So no one wants to say that. I think you can get arrested for saying that here.
Well, no,
that's not white supremacy. This is the indigenous population of the country.
Oh, no, he said the same thing I did. Now I will further be called a Nazi.
Well, it's a statistical fact that I think by 2100, we will be a minority white.
Brother man, it's not going to take to 2001. It's not going to take that long, brother man.
Country.
2063 as of today.
Well, I've read a bit later.
But these are dynamic numbers, so they change.
Yeah, but here's my question for you. So what?
Well,
and again, I don't understand why only like Western nations are targeted, and Japan more recently. So Japan also targeted recently for this. Why are we not allowed to say that people who are like native to those countries are allowed to have that country? And then, I mean, when America comes into the conversation, people will bring up like the Native Americans. The land wasn't stolen. The land was conquered, and brutal conquering is how many nations have sprouted up all across the world. You had tribal warfare in the Middle East. You had tribal warfare in Africa. You had tribal warfare in Asia. You had tribal warfare in Europe. I mean, no more brother wars is a quote for a reason, right? And we don't have like these bloody conquest wars for the most part in a lot of places in the world anymore. There are still areas that it does happen in. But this is also why I say, like, we should have the right to defend our nations, just like the Native Americans did in America, just like any other wars had the belligerents and the defendants before, right? If we end up losing, and it's not a bloody battle, it's an ideological warfare, it's a slow erosion by the lack of care of laws and citizenry, it's a different kind of war, but it is a war nonetheless. And if we are unable to defend ourselves, if we are unable to win, then our culture doesn't deserve to prevail. That's just how it is. Would I like for that to happen? No. But being called like racist or bigoted or xenophobic for wanting to defend your culture and your country is a crazy logic to me. It doesn't make sense. This is the info war? Yeah. Professor John Wolfman, thank you. It's not about the dang skin color, it's about the values. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in England, it's a bit different, right? Their country is a bit different than ours in America. We did have a lot more ethnic diversity when we were setting things up, right? We had a lot of immigration from Western countries, but it's still like we conquered the lands from the people who were here before. If we get conquered in an info war instead of a bloody battle, I don't want that to happen. I would rather it not. I would like to defend myself. And it's weird. It's weird to be called names for wanting to defend yourself from the same people who talk about stolen lands, who talk about the Native Americans. The most insane thing, Kirsche, is that Western culture isn't disappearing because they're weak, but because they're so kind and altruistic to a dangerous fault. I would say there's the altruism, but also when you have people with like a crazy degree of out-group preference and they get infiltrated by communist ideology and Marxist theory, it is a massive recipe for disaster.
Let me refer to the beginning of our conversation when you said that the people who live in a country define the character of that country. And then you said, yes, all the things for which we were famous and in which we had pride, like our stoicism, our concern for others, our tidiness, the cleanest country in the world now. It's pretty filthy.
Apparently, England's also having problems with like street corners being turned red. I can't remember which immigrants, but apparently there's some kind of immigrant that like chews this like red thing and then they spit it. And so there's like this red spit sludge all over like phone boxes and corners and stuff. And the leftists are smugly being like, yes, instead they should smell like piss, like they rightfully should. And it's like, well, yeah, bums are going to piss on street corners, but also why would you want them covered in either piss or red sludge? Like, brother, ew, man, come on. You want neither. No piss, no red sludge.
All those things change when you get new people moving there. You said that. I mean, you're the racist, not me. So I'm just using the parameters that you set.
I did not say that was down to
No, you didn't say you didn't.
White people coming to the country.
I like how he laughs at the notion of being called racist when time and time again it's the people who claim to be anti-racist that show just how racist they are. Because again, anti-racism is just racism towards the correct group of people in their mind.
Well, that's who lives here.
I don't believe that.
No, but that's what you said.
I said there was creaking pressure on public services.
No.
From the increased
but
population.
you also maybe foolishly admitted the truth. You could get arrested for this, so I know the stakes are high. But you said that when the people who live in a country change, so does the culture, which is like the most obvious. It's like when it rains out, it gets wet. That's not a controversial observation, but it's illegal here because it is true. And my only point is not against, I've already said, I like the Bangladeshis better than I like the liberal whites in your country. A lot more. They've never yelled at me. I'm not attacking them. I'm just saying the things that made Britain, England. Is there still an England? I have no idea. Those are going away because there are different people living here. And if you think that those are good things in the same way that the Swedes or the Chinese or the people in Burundi and Chad, they like their culture. It's their ancestors' culture. And now it's gone. And why can't we say that's bad?
Right.
Well, because you may think it's bad.
It's good?
I love living in a very multicultural
But you're rich. I mean, you're rich. And you go to the white parts of London, and they're exactly the same as they were when I was a child. I've been coming here for 50 years. They're exactly the same. What neighbor was saying is exactly the same.
Which do you think is a white part of London?
I'm not going to tell you.
Well, that's a little test for you. Which area of London do you think is white?
The one I'm staying in right now. The one where my relatives live.
Where? Where?
I'm not going to say.
No, you don't want to say because you know that I'll immediately say, come on, there's loads of non-white people living there. There's no
By the way, I'm not against non-whites.
I would also not say it because it would make that area slightly unsafer. They're mass importing the refuse of those places without any vetting or background checks, yeah? And Piers is one of the worst fence sitters ever.
Exclusively white area. Okay. There's not.
And also, it's very weird. It's very weird for him, for Tucker to point out that there's a couple of majority white areas of London left, and Piers trying to be on the good side of the argument is just no, there's no white places in London left. Don't be silly. What a weird thing to say. And then after this interview,
British culture didn't you like and has been improved by new cultures?
Oh, well,
tell me, what didn't you like before? What are you glad is gone from the Britain you grew up in?
Let me tell you. If you came to London in the 50s and 60s, the food was crap. Absolute crap.
Well, it was that way in the 80s when I was here.
Right. Now, we have some of the best gastronomy.
It's amazing.
Insane. That is the argument used. Why should we flood our country with other people? Well, chicken curry. Thousands of young girls get raped. Chicken curry. I know this might shock a lot of people. You're going to want to be prepared for this. But me, as an Irishman, I have made pasta before. You know?
I didn't know the Irish could make pasta. That's crazy. I am so impressed. I love his accent. I could listen to this guy talk all day. Holy shit.
Crazy. I'm not Italian, but I know how to make pasta. And even crazier is I have made chicken curry before. Crazy. Absolutely shocking stuff. How did he do that? You don't need a million Pakistanis in your country to enjoy a kebab. I know this thinking might be crazy to people like Piers Morgan, but I would eat potatoes for the rest of my life if it meant my country, Ireland, was always home to Irish people. That it was full of my own people. I don't want Ireland full of Nigerians, Indians, Pakistanis. I don't want Ireland to resemble England, for England to resemble Germany, Germany to resemble Belgium, for all the natives to be replaced in the name of chicken curry and a kebab shop on every corner. I have no intention of seeing that happen in my lifetime. Ireland should be full of Irish people. And if your excuse to change that is you like a kebab every Saturday, well, to me, that's not a good enough reason.
It's not. It's really not. That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. I don't know how the Irish talk with the hard T when they say tinkin. I don't know. It's cute. I like it. And it's always but my ethnic foods. You don't hate boomers enough. You think you do, but you don't. And Piers Morgan, in response to Michael McCarthy saying they would have you replaced and your home changed forever over a curry, Piers Morgan said, there are a lot of white English people I would happily trade for a good weekly chicken tikka masala. And that's a very weird thing to say, because it's yes, there are native English who are criminals. There are native English who are terrible people. There are native English that you probably wouldn't want as your neighbors. That's not an argument to flood the country to make it no longer English. That doesn't make any sense. And then also in response, I mean, to Piers Morgan saying like he would trade white English people for a good weekly chicken tikka masala. You know, you have Alex Jones here saying, yes, sell out your people for food and move to the country. This is replacement migration. You have Kongman Lee here with some bad things happening, and the soy guy in front saying, but that food is so yummy. Someone else saying, you're the reason a lot of World War II vets would like to go back and just have a good weekly sauerkraut. Holy fuck. All your history and culture traded for curry. All those lives lost in World War I and II, all traded for curry. You're a disgrace. Like, everyone absolutely just, like, hammering him.
British culture didn't you like?
And then you also have a tweet here by Gad Sad, which he might be talking about a specific group of people, but I think it applies en masse to what's going on. Gad Sad says, noble people say, I fuck your society, or you are a bigot. And the West says, okay, fuck my society. Noble people say, I fuck your women, or you're a bigot. The West says, fuck our women. Noble people say, I fuck your children, or you're a bigot. The West says, fuck our children. Noble people say, I fuck your religion, or you're a bigot. The West says, fuck our religion. Noble people say, I fuck your heritage, or you are a bigot. The West says, fuck my heritage. The West says, I'm willing to give up my culture, my civilization, my heritage, my religion, my personhood, my women, my children, my way of life, my freedoms, my liberties. Take it all, but please, please don't call me phobic. That is intolerable. And I thought this was a really, really poignant post, and I very much wanted to read it.